Hey, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of What Did the White Sox Just Do? With me, H, and my co host, James Jones III. We're the second and the first. Like, what happened to them? We'll talk about that later. Hey,
Another
welcome to
topic
the
for another
podcast.
day.
Right, another topic. Today, we're going to be talking about Chicago's favorite baseball team, the White Sox.
Facts.
And we're going to try to figure out what the hell did they just do this week. It is preseason, so there's not much to talk about except for guys that are going to be bagging groceries in a couple weeks. But we can talk about the new White Sox Stadium. That there's a push being done by Reinsdorf to build it and move more north inwards into downtown. Uh, James, JJ3, you want to start it off?
So yeah, I'm opposed to the stadium move, really in all facets. I don't think it's a necessary step to take. I feel like this stadium that they have right now, Guaranteed Rate Field, is a perfectly good stadium. It's been fine since its inception, really. It doesn't need to move. It doesn't need to change. We don't need to build a new one closer to downtown. I feel like it's essentially a money play by Reinsdorf when he's already got his pockets lined with a ton of money. So to me, I'm more in favor of instead of requesting money from the state to help you build a brand new stadium down the block, invest your money into your baseball team and improve the product on the field in the stadium we currently have. The food is good, the venue is good. You have plenty of ways to commute to and from the stadium. The location is solid. You don't need to move.
That's a good pitch. I would even add on from what you said to say inside of the White Sox Stadium, it's probably the best constructed stadium in the city compared to Wrigley, compared to Soldier Field, compared to United Center. It's aesthetically inside pleasing. It's got all the restaurants, all that fun stuff. But I think the issue is it's just in the wrong location. It doesn't matter how great the stadium is when it's just not convenient for anyone to go into for a myriad of reasons. Um, the reason the Cubs are so successful during losing seasons because no one cares about the Cubs. I can't name their roster. I don't think you can name your roster. I don't think there's a Cubs
Definitely
fan
not.
within 10 miles that can name the entire roster. Just no one can because no one cares. But during losing seasons, they've got that tourist trap of a Wrigleyville where you've got Boys Town, which is all Cubs fans, right there at the other side, across the street. Then you've got the 15 bars down Clark. You've got a movie theater. You've got the UFC gym. You've got 7-Eleven. There's just so much stuff to do around that
There's a lot.
area. It's close to two colleges, and I think DePaul and Loyola are right there. So there's just a lot of fun things to be had that don't have to do with baseball. And I think that's what the White Sox are trying to capture. They're trying to capture that out of off season baseball market, that losing season baseball market. So 40 games in case we're losing, it's not here we go. It's we're gonna go have fun regardless because we love our Sox. And I think that's what the move brings. Right now, like you go to Wrigleyville, there's like 5 hotels within a 2 mile radius. I don't think there's any hotels within a 5 mile radius of Comiskey. There's no grocery stores. There's like two, maybe three bars. It's too corporate. Giant parking lot when you get out. You got to take that long walk around to find the entrance. You got to walk up 6 flights of stairs. It's just too corporate. It feels like a football stadium, a baseball game being played in a football stadium. It's the only, I think it's the only baseball park that you can like tailgate outside of what, Brewer Stadium. I don't know too many baseball parks that you can tailgate, but just little things like that we don't really push for White Sox tailgating. It's more a football thing, but I think the move benefits the Sox greatly as far as attendance, and then a higher potential to capture a market that's already a tourist trap. Depending on where they move, and now you're just inserting a baseball stadium in whatever tourist trap area that you're moving to more downtown. That's more convenient when tourists come and they get out from their hotels, they drop their bags, walk over to the new White Sox Stadium, probably going to be named after some kind of crypto company, Coinbase Stadium.
Probably.
Walk walk over to Coinbase Stadium and bam, you're watching a White Sox game. Wrigley has DraftKings literally inside of Wrigley. Put
They do.
FanDuel inside of White Sox. Just little extra things that you can do that's going to make people go, hey, it's convenient just to walk over there, and they can walk back to their hotel. It's probably kind of annoying when Sox games end. You're going home. You leave out of a baseball game at Wrigley, you're going to party. You
You're going
leave
to the
after
bar.
a Sox. You leave after a Sox game. Let me go to sleep because there is nothing around here. Let's take the Uber back to the hotel. I think they're just trying to change that dynamic to make it more fun to come when, sad as it is to say, when we have our losing seasons, which has been a lot, just like the Cubs. But Cubs make up for it with that atmosphere. Chicago Sox just doesn't have that atmosphere Cubs do. And I think that's what it alleviates.
I would invest into creating that atmosphere around guaranteed rate rather than plan and build an entire move, spend $2 billion plus to move to the 78th. So to me, take that time and that money and that energy and effort, Jerry, open up the pocketbook, tear down some of that unnecessary parking because the location of a guaranteed rate, you can get there in any number of ways. We can Uber, we can hop on the train, we can drive and
Facts.
park ourselves. There's any number of ways on any given day. I can go to a game every single week and take a different method of transportation to get the guaranteed rate back and forth and be
Facts.
fine. So that's not an issue. Tear down some of that parking, invest in building up your area, build up the atmosphere around guaranteed rate, and then you'd have all of that. As far as generating more tourist traction, you got to win, man. Like, you just got to win. That's really what it's going to come down to as far as generating that tourism and getting greater eyes from outside of Chicago onto the White Sox who are going to come in and want to see the Sox themselves and not just want to come in and see their baseball team against the Sox, whether those are Dodgers fans or Red Sox fans or whomever. So if you build up that area around the current ballpark right now, you can create that and you can really have that same sort of atmosphere. It'll cost a lot less, in my opinion. Now, I'm not crunching the numbers to get to
Right.
this conclusion, but in my opinion, if you invest in the area, add some more bars, some restaurants, not a hotel, that's going to definitely balloon your costs up. So I doubt you're going to have any hotel areas right
I
there.
think you have to do the hotel. I think the hotel makes the
You
most
think
sense.
so?
I'd actually do the hotel before bars because hotels can have bars inside. You can Jimmy rig some stuff in a hotel. You can put bars, you can put lounges,
You can
and
Jimmy
then the
rig some stuff
separate.
inside the stadium,
That's true too. But I figured if we're gonna keep it in 35th and Shields, the
right?
stadium's probably staying the same exact way it is. So now the stuff around it is what you're chasing.
Yeah.
I don't think inside the stadium needs to change at all. I think it's great. It
Inside the
is
stadium
the
is
best.
terrific.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
the
good fan
best
experience.
stadium
It's
in
good
the
for
city.
kids. Yeah. Like
Absolutely, it's just in the
take your kids on a
wrong
Sunday
area.
afternoon. They get to run the bases. Like it's the inside game experience at guarantee rate is strong, very strong. I have no complaints about it really. The product on the
You know,
field, we can talk about that later. You know what I'm saying? To complain about that, but
right?
the actual in-game experience, the food, the concessions, all of that, all solid. No issues for me.
You go to KC. That KC's kind of corporate. Like this is Kansas City. This is how like their stadium is built. I
Right.
think Angels is the same way. A few cities, it's but the thing that the advantage they have is they're the only baseball team. Some cities they're the only sports team in that city, like the Cardinals. So they can get away with the corporate look because being the only sports team anyone cares about, not hockey, everyone's going to come down there and watch you. White Sox don't have that advantage. We're a heavy sports city. We've got baseball. We've got baseball in the Cubs and Sox. We've got the Bears. We've got the Bulls. So people have to have a reason not just to come there, but to hang out around there to
Hmm.
whatever before or after the game. And White Sox just don't produce much of that around Comiskey. Outside of that, I forget what that one bar is. There's like one bar 2 blocks like north, and then there's the one that's connected to the stadium that like nobody goes to. I forget the name. It's like, oh, why is that there?
Yeah, I've never been to that. I gotta
Yeah,
confess, I haven't been to that one.
yeah. And yeah, I think they like try to trap you. They have jerseys sold there. It's like a jersey store with the bar, so they try to get you in and drink and hope you'll buy. It's so stupid. Like I don't want to do that. Where's the real bars at?
But again, you gotta. I mean, we talking baseball, right? If you build it, they will come. So build up the product on your field, build up the atmosphere around your stadium, and more fans will come. It's just the bottom line. You can
Then
you
they're
can
gonna.
move to the 78th. You can put a brand new shiny stadium on the 78th block. The renderings are all superb. I mean, who wouldn't want a stadium that shiny and new like that? So yeah, you could do that, but you still have to invest in the product on the field to make sure that people are going to come out. Because otherwise, you're going to have a brand new shiny stadium, but you're still not going to be able to fill it up. You're still not going to generate that tourism because your product isn't going to warrant that attention on it.
No, I think what happens with atmospheres, like for example Wrigley, people don't start off saying, "Hey, look at all this stuff to do around Wrigley." I think once they start winning, then it brings people there, and then they're like, "Oh man, look at all this around me." And I think that's what happens with the Cubs. But like I said earlier, when the Sox win, it's packed anyway. So during winning seasons, tourism and visiting isn't the issue. The whole outside of the stadium stuff is plan B for losing seasons, which it
Yeah,
works
it's
for a lot
ancillary
of
for sure.
different teams, and I think that's what they're going for, and I'm very okay with that. But then, like you said, a good plan B, which I actually don't disagree with, is hey, why not tear down two or three of those 147 parking lots around the stadium, and just
Facts.
prop up some Sox funded hotels. If you can get cheap hotels, Sox funded, where it's like, hey, because you're buying a ticket for the game, or you're a fan of the White Sox, it's gonna be $30 a night to stay at this hotel. It would be so packed, and there would be so many more people. Now you're importing your fan base. I think I'm telling you, just build like three hotels in those parking lot areas, and that's a start to building up the atmosphere. And now you got the hotels. Someone might be like, you know what? Let me build a bar over here, because you can't have Sox. Because the thing about Wrigley, it happened organically. Other people built
It
up
did.
bars. Then you got some bars where players are like, you know what? I gave my cousin some money. He started a bar next to the stadium. So that organic process can take a while, but it would have to
And that's
start
what I
with
was going to
again.
say. It happened organically over the course of decades. That wasn't an overnight thing. So we're going to pay $2 billion plus. Reinsdorf is going to try to shift that onto the taxpayers. So that's you and I and every other Sox fan, every other resident of the state here. Not a fan of that whatsoever. And he's going
I'm
to
not
make
too.
people pay for it.
But I'm just saying, if it happens in the middle of Fulton Market, that's overnight, because Fulton Market is a more. It's my favorite part of the city. It's the adult version of Wrigleyville. You put it there, and bam, you do have that overnight Wrigley presence. I,
But do
I,
you
I don't know what
have
the Bears are gonna.
but do you have overnight attendance at your games where your stadium is full? I disagree. I don't think that's going to happen.
I think the losing seasons that start, no. But the first winning season changes all that, because now more people are experiencing it's fun. And then more people are going to come now when they're losing after the winning season, because they've already experienced the winning, and they see the fun or the good time that level didn't change. But during the losing seasons, if they start off losing after building that stadium, I think you're right. It just won't change much until they get that first winning season. Then that's when you have more people coming in. That's when you have the tourists that go to Wrigley be like, you know what? I just went down to watch the Sox play in Fulton Market, and it was amazing. We got out, we had sushi, we went to party, we went to this, we went to Punch Bowl Social. Like, man, I don't even know if I want to go to Wrigley anymore. I'm way too close to Boys Town when I go to Wrigley anyway. Oh my goodness, Fulton Market is so much better. So I think the winning would change a bit of that. My only issue is right now, Sox, to me, are one of the few honest teams in the league where people forget when Sox were winning, prices were still low, and we appreciated that. But somewhere down the road, people started making fun of Sox for having low tickets. And I'm like, that's crazy, because Cubs are out here charging football stadium prices, Bears prices for tickets to go to Cubs games. And I'm like, shouldn't people be happy the Sox are still low? So my only issue is a new stadium would change the pricing. And now all these
100%.
people that kept making fun of Sox for low tickets will be the same ones angry the ticket prices go up. And then they can justify the ticket prices because hey, you're having fun here, aren't you? So you're not just paying for the coming to the game, you're paying for the atmosphere. And that's what Cubs try to sell. So they raise those prices. Sox are like, hey, you like baseball, you're paying for the game. Here are the good, honest ticket prices that every stadium should charge, but they don't. So I do appreciate the Sox for keeping ticket sales low, but at the same time, because of that atmosphere, attendance is low as well. And it's either they need to. I think that's a great start. Two hotels, get the zoning permit, forget the stadium move. If we're going to go Plan B, just build two hotels that are somehow dirt cheap because they're Sox funded. And as long as they stay Sox funded, you're just going to see those hotels packed full of people. And then the second they go downstairs, they're going to walk right over across the 37 parking lots over to a Sox game and be like, yo, this is kind of fun. And then walk back to their hotel and drink and party at the bars there because there'll be one of four bars around Comiskey.
So Sox funded means Jerry funded.
White
And
Sox, yeah.
right.
Jerry funded. I'm even okay with the city funding the hotels if we have to, because it'll be cheaper than a whole new stadium. But if you're going to start that organic process, it has to start with where a bunch of people are. You put a hotel in an area, now it tells people like, hey, all those people over there, maybe I should put this restaurant here because that's the demographic because that's the customer base of people that are going to come to this restaurant. All these 3,000 people at these two to three hotels are going to come downstairs and come to my restaurant. Yeah, let me put a restaurant there. And then someone says, hey, let me put a bar right here too, because that's a lot of people that would spend because they're right here. Why not? That's how Vegas works. Vegas says, hey, we're just going to keep building hotels, and those
Mhm.
hotels are going to store tons of people. And when they come downstairs, they're going to come play in my casino because they're already staying in the hotels. It's a system that works great for Vegas. It's a system that's worked great for Chicago in downtown areas. You see, downtown has all the fancy hotels, and that's
Of
what
course.
built up the Mac Mile and stuff. So it just makes sense. Like, hey, Sox, if you're going to start that Wrigley build, you don't need to buy up the whole block. Just put two to three really great hotels, and don't make them uber expensive. Treat them like you do the Sox, and find ways to make the prices so cheap everybody's going to stay there, and they have to
Well,
be quality. You can't just have
they can't be too cheap now. Let's be reasonable. We still got to make sure
well.
that they're nice enough that people are going to want to
Oh no, I'm
be
not. I'm not saying
inside
don't
of
be nice.
hotels. Let's not get
I'm,
crazy.
I'm, I'm, oh no, I'm not saying don't be nice. I don't want the Sybaris or sex hotels or dirty, sleazy motels. I'm saying there'll be like fancy Sheraton level hotels, but because they're Sox funded because of the money Sox are making,
Mhm.
that'll cover the cost of what the hotel price would really be. So if it's a hotel that would have that's 1,200 a night in any other hotel downtown, because they're half covered by the Sox ownership, or part of the Sox revenue or Bulls revenue is going into those hotels. Now that $1,200 pricing becomes 120 a night, and it's one fourth the price of every other hotel in Chicago. It doesn't have to always be that way, but you just want people to stay there. Like, why should I stay so far away from downtown and close to the Sox Stadium? I think that'll just that'll pack the hotel because we're the fourth. I think we're back to being the fourth most touristed city in the country. So finally find a cheap what. Chicago people don't understand how expensive our hotel rates are until you leave Chicago. When you're in Chicago, you're like, dang, Miami hotel, I gotta pay 120 a night to stay in the Fontainebleau, Miami. That's too much. Let me see if I can find something for 80. You leave Chicago and you look at Chicago hotel prices. I've seen people who say $400 is cheap. Like, oh my goodness, I found a hotel for only $400 in Chicago. Let me hurry up and get this before it goes away. So you get something like that where it's, I forget the word is, where it's co-funded by the Sox somehow, or even the city for the first 2-3 years, just to get it packed so people can experience the hotel, and then it can just build up other stuff naturally. I think that'll be a game changer, and it'll bring a lot more people to start the ball rolling in that natural building up the area process. Just again, downside is they might fund that by raising ticket prices, which is what Cubs did. So there's always that. But like you said, it might be cheaper than moving. If that's what it's going to take, then that's what it's going to take.
In my opinion, that's cheaper. Like I said, I haven't crunched any numbers, but that makes more sense. Give me your over under in terms of years. Let's say they do go ahead and move, right?
Right.
They decide, okay, we're moving no matter what. We're out of Bridgeport. We're going to the 78th. Give me your over under in terms of years. You're saying, would you say upwards of 5, less than 5, upwards of 7, less than
Depends
7,
where.
in terms of
If it's an
creating that,
already
tourist attraction that you mentioned that you're focused on, that you think would be that plus or that positive? What would you say?
oh 3 years max.
Three
That's it. It
years
only
max?
takes 3. It only because they're already in a heavy tourist area. Like tourists come to Chicago and look for stuff to do. Like they're like they're always looking for stuff to do. Like what do I do in Chicago? I'm here, and for some unknown reason, because of how Wrigleyville is, a lot of tourists always have. Oh, I'm gonna go see a Cubs game on their list of things to do because all these websites say do that because all these little Chicago tourist websites sell the stuff around Wrigley. But with Sox right there, like let's say it's Fulton Market, now they'll be able to sell. Hey, you don't have to travel 30 minutes in traffic up Lakeshore Drive to go see a Cubs game. The Sox are right there, same losing record, and now you can do a bunch of stuff. You can go to this bar in Randolph, and then walk over to Au Cheval, try the world's greatest hamburger, and then walk over to see the White Sox play. I think under 3 years you'll see yeah, the organic shift because now the White Sox are a direct competitor to Wrigleyville. But it's dependent on where it has to be a touristy area. If they move just to put it in a desolate area, you might as well have stayed on 35th. That's why I can't give you a specific number because I don't know exactly where they're moving. But if they're moving to a already busy kind of area anyway with stuff around it so they don't have to build that restaurant bar infrastructure, it's already there for them under 3 years. But if they're just going to move to a desolate area like the museum district, but just to be closer to the water, again, you might as well stay on 35th and Shields because that was pointless. You're not going to build up anything around the harbors. That was stupid. Why would you do that, White Sox? So that's why I said it depends on the area.
Hey, we'll
But if
talk
they're
about
gonna
that world's greatest hamburger some other day. Like for real, we
right,
gonna at Au Cheval, we gonna touch on that another day. Not right now though. I got thoughts and opinions, but in 3 years tops, I don't know if I agree with that. Regardless of what area you put it in, you drop it in the middle of Fulton like you're talking about. I don't know if you're talking about 3 years. That
you also got to remember when teams move. Even though I don't think there's a stat on this, but I'm pretty sure every time I've heard it of a team moving, it's somehow it's like some of that money goes to the team for free agency. I don't know how it works, but there's an influx of money, and it doesn't matter the sport. We're talking football, the Rams. We're talking.
you got to talk about the owner. You got to talk about the owner. We know what he about
I
to do.
agree. Last time White Sox changed stadiums, even though it was literally across the street, I believe he won a championship because somehow that construction money, I feel like it went into the roster, and I can't explain it. I don't know how, but all of a sudden,
I'm gonna
last
explain
time,
and say you wrong. That's what I'm explaining. That didn't happen.
when when
Not on
when
that
did it go
timeline.
from the from Comiskey to the cell? Because I feel like that's when we won, and then sell to
It went from Comiskey to
guaranteed
New
rate didn't change
Comiskey.
anything.
Then it went. Then the name changed from New Comiskey to the cell. Then it changed from the cell to guaranteed rate. But it stayed on 35th and Shields for
But
like 20 years.
but we won as the cell when something changed. I just feel like it increases the chance of you winning when you change it. Why? I don't know. Even Cubs, I kind of feel like when they started building up all that construction, when the Ricketts and all that took over from the Wrigley whatever, that they win a championship during all that change, and then like, oh shit, we're winning. Let's add more stuff to it.
I blocked
Something
out
about
2016 from my memory. I don't know what happened that year. So
I did too. All I remember is Chris Bryant. I even forget the pitcher, Archuleta, something. I don't know. I don't know how people can celebrate that. But I think change does bring winning, and I just have a strong feeling as the Sox move, somehow they'll start winning because it seems to be the norm for teams to win when there's major changes like that. Why? I don't know. It may be because
Okay.
the cities feels like there's a whole new team. Maybe the players feel like, yo, these locker rooms are great. I can I can get a massage here. I can hide my side chicks here. Oh, we got bedrooms here.
Careful,
I can live
careful
here.
with massages and side chicks. We got to be careful with those things now. It's
I'm just
2024 now.
saying. You remember, look at it with Dallas. Mark Cuban took over, and
Careful.
he upgraded everything. They started winning. When you upgrade the quality of stuff, teams just start winning. I don't know what the science
So,
is. I don't know what the magic is. I'm gonna look into that one day. But it seems to make teams start winning more.
so in terms of winning, this might be a good time to segue. The Sox are probably coming up on a pretty hard season this year. I don't think that's any secret for anybody. The
I
all the
I
record
can't count that
prognosticators,
yet.
of course not, but the so-called experts, the prognosticators, have us having a down year this year. But in terms of players on the field, do you have any specific expectations as far as players on the field? Do you have expectations for Robert? Do you have expectations for Moncada? Who's going to be the leader of the team, the face of the team? There's no more Abreu. He left last year. There's no more Tim Anderson. He's gone this year. Who's going to be that guy that's going to step up and be the face of the White Sox, in your opinion?
Um, it has to be Luis Robert and Vaughn,
True,
in my opinion. Robert's our best player. He's the five tool
by
guy on the
far,
team.
no doubt.
Um, Vaughn was always kind of supposed to be the heir to Abreu, but we ended up moving him to like outfield because Abreu was still good. And we just, yeah, we do that sometimes. We just kept him on, even though Vaughn was brought in to replace him. I don't know if the Moncada project is still going on, but that's done. Like whatever he was supposed to be, he's hit his ceiling. I'm shocked we still kept him. I'm not mad at
I'm
it.
not shocked we
He's a
kept him.
solid.
I'm not shocked we kept him. I mean, I don't think there was much of a market for him in terms of moving him along. He's got a lot of money left. He's got some
He
years
does.
left on his contract, so he's not an easy move to just ship him off to another team. So I'm not shocked we kept him. I'm I mean, I like Moncada when the trade initially happened and he was brought in.
Me too.
I saw the
I thought he was
talent
gonna come in as like a face. We all
and
did.
yeah, like I saw the talent. I thought he'd be um not not Javi Baez, but I thought he'd be Javi Baez like in terms of he might make explosive plays for you. You know what I
Same.
mean? He might be
And he's
that
a
guy that's
third
gonna be a
baseman.
spark for you. And he's a third baseman. Like he's
Hon-
and the talent is there. The
honestly,
talent is not the issue. I think it's sometimes I think the work ethic is an issue. And I think as organizationally, I think there's a level of player development that is not consistently where it should be. And I think Moncada has fallen into that of not being fully
I
developed to his full potential. Like I think you said he hit his ceiling. I don't think he's hit his ceiling. I think there's a lot of untapped potential that he hasn't even come close to because I think there's a work ethic issue and I think there's an issue with organizational development across the board.
how long has he been in the league though? Like
He's
it's
been in
kind
the
of
league a
like
long time.
right at some point, like you kind of have to say this is who this guy is. His defense
I
is
agree.
solid, but that's not why we got him for his deep. We wanted his offense to get better, and it stayed the same.
I
And
agree.
mind you, third base, first base,
Is a premier
and
position.
outfield. Right, where you get the heavy hitters. It's like I'd rather have moved Eloy to third base and then make Moncada the DH, and then he can just focus on his offense. Because
Oh
I don't like
no.
I don't
Oh
like
no.
Eloy. I don't like Eloy as DH or outfield.
Oh no.
I
No,
just
no, no, no.
you don't think
I'm
so?
a 100% disagree with that. Not a chance. Aloy,
Or
the
or
only
move
position,
or move
the only
or move
position for
Vaughn to
Aloy is
third.
DH. That's it.
But we
No.
got to get
And
heavy
I'm not
bats
putting
at
Vaughn
third.
at third. Third requires a
We
lot
can't.
of athleticism. You got to have a lot of athleticism. You got to have a lot of range. You got to be
True,
really quick to
true,
react. Aloy
but
doesn't
but
have
the way
that
he
whatsoever. Doesn't have the hands, doesn't have the coordination. He'd be a walking
but
injury list over there.
But, but the way Moncada plays, he's like a JD Martinez, which is great for second base, being a contact hitter. Like that's cool, but like you're supposed to have the big guns, the sluggers at third and first base. But he plays like a second baseman. I'm like that's been a wasted spot for so long. I just don't like Moncada there. We even had an experiment before Pedro, what's his face, our current manager, where Moncada did try second, and I thought like, yo, that was a great fit for him. And then he had the shortstop help too. Like, yo, that's a perfect fit. Put Moncada and Tim over there, and then we just kept not moving him over there anymore and put him back to
Well,
third. Maybe he was complaining.
I mean, defensive metrics will tell you that he wasn't good at second base. That's why they moved him to third because he's a more natural fit at third. But like you were saying previously, I mean, he's been in the league what 6, 7 years now. I've lost track. He's been in the league long enough now to where he simply is what he is at this point. And even though I think there was a lot of untapped potential that he hasn't reached, at this point, I don't think he's going to reach it regardless while he's here in a White Sox uniform. Maybe lightning strikes and all of a sudden he comes out this year, guns blazing, hits 40 home runs or something like that, and drives in 160. I wouldn't bet my money on that particularly, but third base is the natural position for him to play. I don't think he'd be a good fit at second in the outfield, and DH is only something I'd put him at DH just based on injury or lineup construction. I wouldn't put him at
Well,
DH for a full time way. Not a chance.
Well, we've got a lot of random talent that's positionless because we're keeping Moncada at third. We've got. I hate that we let go Berger. I thought he was going to be our third for the future, but I understand Moncada's contract kept him starting, even though Berger was a better hitter. Then we got Gavin Sheets, who we're forcing in the outfield, who I think would be a better third baseman. We've got
First
Cespedes,
baseman.
Cespedes cousin or whatever the Cespedes kid. He's looking great. I'd like to test him out at third. I just want a better hitting at third base. With the defense Moncada brings, I think, or the athleticism Moncada brings, I think that can be duplicated by Zach DeLoach. Who else? You know what? And then of course Sox would sign an old out of prime third baseman like we always do, and Mike Moustakas. I don't even know if he's going to be on the actual roster, but that's such a White Sox move. Oh, you're old and out of prime? Come on to the White Sox, Ken Griffey. So I think even he would be a more stereotypical third baseman than Moncada right now. I always thought that was an experiment, and then it just never ended. And then I don't
Because
like
it
where
was
he was
never
in
an
the lineup.
experiment. Now, where he
Right,
was
right.
in the lineup,
Back.
I think where he was in the lineup has been an issue because of his temperament and again that lack of development. Like so he's a patient hitter, but he's patient to his own detriment. To where a lot of
Absolutely.
times he'd be much more helpful to his own cause and the team's cause if he just went up there looking to hit a home run. Doesn't mean it's gonna actually be a home run, but he'd be much better off at times if he just let his hands go and just swing the bat through the zone and just make some contact, as opposed to just standing there and just watching fastballs go by him on empty counts and getting behind early. So I mean, there's definitely some issues with Makata for sure, and where he hits it in the lineup can definitely have an effect across the rest of the lineup. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I'm in agreement on some of your Moncada points for sure. Um, Not that he should be a DH, not that he should play second base. I don't agree with those at all. But in terms of him not bringing it like he should every day, yeah, I agree with that.
I mean,
As far
who
as
do we have at second base? We've got Mendick and Lopez and one more person. And we're deep at second base, but maybe I'm just not a fan of the style of second base. Always these short, non-power hitters, kind of like shortstop. But shortstops, I think, are way more athletic than second basemen. But yeah,
well, the
I
White
don't know.
Sox have had a lot of player redundancy. I mean, you mentioned Gavin Sheets, you mentioned Andrew Vaughn, you mentioned Cespedes. There's a lot of player redundancy with the White Sox that has gotten in their own way as well. Eloy Jimenez falls into that same bucket of a lot of guys that fit that DH first base type of profile as hitters, um, but they lack any sort of real versatility throughout their lineup and versatility at different positions. So a lot of guys end up being sort of shoehorned into that same profile, and they can't play anywhere else. So we end up being stuck with them. But I mean, let's go back to Luis Robert. I mean, we know by far he's the best player on the team. He's, you
Absolutely.
know, 5 tool player. Arguably, he's arguably top 5 player in baseball, in terms of position players, arguably. Top 10 for sure, guaranteed.
Facts.
Um, he's not. I think he could still get better in terms of his outfield defense, and he's already a Gold Glover, right, in the outfield. I mean, he's got home run power, he's got speed, he steals bases. I mean, there's not really anything Luis Robert can't do on the baseball
Facts.
field. Um, it it makes me wonder if they're going to try to trade him one day. So, I mean, I don't know if we'll
That
end
was
up having that
such a
conversation down the
Reinsdorf move.
line, but yeah, it is. It is for sure. Um, Eloy Jimenez can't be in the outfield anymore. Is there an outfield construction that you feel like would be best with Luis Robert currently, or is there somebody maybe in AAA that you could potentially see coming up
No,
to
no, it's
team up with him?
I think it's right now if we're gonna just keep putting Aloy at DH, it's
Mhm.
got to be of course Luis, then Gavin Sheets since Vaughn's gonna be first and he's the heir to Abreu, and then yeah the Cespedes kid. I like his potential. He's been our most talked about prospect for a while. I don't know where they're putting him at, but just like his what was it, his brother or his daddy, the other All Star Cespedes that was in the
that
league
was his
for.
that was his half brother. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think just like his half brother, put him on the outfield and see what happens and hope for the best. Yeah, I think he's just been the most talked about. Let's see what he's got. I'd like to see him at the outfield because honestly, there's no real open spots because for some unknown reason, like we said earlier, Moncada's got that third lockdown to him. I don't know what blackmail he's got on the GM and the owner, but clearly he's locked in. First is going to be Vaughn. I didn't really like Vaughn in the outfield, but they put him there because Abreu was still on the team. But now
right.
first is officially Vaughn's. Cespedes isn't a catcher. That's going to be Maldonado's. Second base is Lopez. Yeah, I think you have to put Cespedes in the outfield and see how
So I
him
I
and
think I think the guy that you're missing that you're forgetting about is Oscar Colas.
is he
So
starting?
that's the thing. That's why I mentioned anybody in AAA as well because I don't think when camp breaks, I don't think he's going to break camp with the team. I think they're going to send
Okay,
him down to AAA. I think they're going to try to make him work his way back up to earn it. He spent some time with the White Sox last year. He had a lot of
yeah.
ups and a lot of downs for sure. More downs than ups, obviously. But I think they're going to send him down to start this year if they haven't already done so. They might have actually already sent him down, but um, that's the guy. Honestly, I feel like if he puts it together, which is a big if. Again, that brings me back to the White Sox player development within their organization. Sometimes it can be hit or miss with some of their positional guys in terms of developing them to their fullest potential. But he's the next guy on the team when you look at just talent. I think he's got a ton of talent. Um,
So you've got the outfield, Colas, Robert, and what Sheets?
Probably Sheets, yeah.
Okay.
I would put Colas in left. I would put Sheets in right. But again, Colas is probably going to be away for a bit. I don't think he's going to start with the team, so he'll probably be somebody that you're looking at maybe sometime around June. Maybe they call him back up. Maybe they call him up before then. But I
I
think
think what's his face? The running back, Bears, 85, Mark Payton. I think he's probably gonna get that last spot if it's not Cespedes, and I think is Benintendi even on the roster? Is he gonna make the team? I don't know. We've got so many right fielders now in AAA. The
no.
games I've been watching.
I mean, Benintendi has the Benintendi signed the richest contract in team history. So he's on the team this year. He's starting in the outfield this year. He he signed the richest contract in team history for the White Sox. It's probably only like 70 something million dollars. So That's another strike against Jerry, but
He's in the league
richest
for a while
contract in
too.
team history. And I think he hit maybe single digit home runs last year.
Yeah, that's another thing. I'm not. I like if my outfielders can't be heavy power hitters like Aloy, be a 5 tool guy like Robert. I'm just not a fan of my. I know a lot of teams always have that one guy that is, but I'm just not a fan of my outfielders getting second baseman numbers. Your second basemen are always at the bottom
Yeah, that's
of
valid.
the hit chart. It's
And
let me look up.
Benintendi was hitting at the top of the order last year. So
He
his
was.
numbers his numbers did not warrant him being a 1, 2, or 3 hitter, but
At
that's where
all.
he was batting in the lineup last season,
At
1,
all.
2, and 3. So we talk about Moncada not hitting that high. Benintendi don't need to hit that high either. So
Even a little bit.
there's a lot of fluctuation going on in terms of the White Sox outfield. I mean, a lot of fluctuation going on, obviously, throughout the entire organization. Um, and one of the biggest issues, if you will, is pitching. I mean,
Yeah.
outside of I can name off the top of my head without looking at my phone or anything like that. I can name off the top of my head Dylan Cease, Michael Kopech, Garrett Crochet, and not all three of those names are going to be starting pitchers for the White Sox on
Facts.
opening day. And Dylan Cease, whom had Cy Young votes last year, um, who was considered an elite pitcher at times last year, who I think just missed making the All Star team last year. I want to say, um,
Which is
Dylan Cease,
criminal.
it 100% criminal. I mean, his numbers were you can put his numbers up with any top tier pitcher, including Garrett Cole. And speaking of
Facts.
Garrett Cole, speaking of him, speaking of the Yankees, Garrett Cole, I believe, got injured, and the New York Yankees, who are currently in what it seems to be buy mode right now, they might come calling for Dylan Cease.
The Yankees are always in buy mode.
So, okay then. So, with the Yankees being potentially in buy mode in that always competitive division, with the Baltimore Orioles, who are now a very competitive team, and I believe they won that division last year. Um, what happens if the Yankees pick up the phone and say, "Yeah, we want Dylan Cease and we'll give you whatever"?
I don't think Baltimore will do that because that's such a Yankees move. I think Baltimore is like any other mid-market team. When they start winning, they're gonna be like, you know what? Let's stick to what we have. Dodgers and Yankees, honestly, are maybe Braves, but more Dodgers or Yankees. Just the notorious. Hey, I know we're winning, but let's steroid it up. No pun intended.
No, I got you.
Baltimore. I think they're just gonna be like, we're winning as is. We can beat the Yankees as is. We don't really need to do anything extra, and they're just replacing Cole. I don't see Baltimore doing that now. Surprise team I do see doing that. That's like a wanna. They're like a wannabe Yankees, but never get it right. The Mets. I could see them going after Cease because the Yankees are going after Cease. That's who I think everyone's really thinking of. It's just not Baltimore's mo to be like, oh my god, the Yankees are going. It's the Mets that are the oh my god, the Yankees are going after this guy. Let's go get him. And then if it doesn't work out, they'll trade him within a year, sometimes middle of the season. But I could see the Mets coming after Cease way before I can see the Yankees coming after Cease. I mean way before I can see Baltimore coming after Cease.
No, I mean that's valid. I don't entirely agree because I think that the Orioles are in a great spot right now in their division. They got a ton of young talent coming into their own right now. Their catcher is an elite catcher. He's really the face of their team, and their entire squad right now is really the arrow is pointing up. In my
Facts.
opinion, them trading for Dylan Cease, keeping him away from the Yankees, because I don't think they want that whatsoever. So keeping him away from the Yankees and also strengthening their own starting pitching rotation. I mean, they could arguably put themselves in the heart of a pennant race this year just by
And
just by adding him.
and this is assuming the Astros don't pull in because recently, last 10 years, Astros have been on Yankees level. I won't say spending, but Yankees level moves. We got to get value picks over and over to strengthen up the weapons. And I could see surprisingly Rangers all of a sudden because Rangers, I could see them also coming after Cease. Cease has a big market. I think we just assume Yankees because of Garrett Cole, but Cease has a really big market where there's a lot different teams can give us a lot of great offers, and I wouldn't be shocked at Dodgers just because they've got all this money from the cartel and they just keep getting funded. They just
So I'd be
keep getting funded.
100% shocked at the Dodgers because where are they going to put him? I
But
mean,
why
they
why not?
just loaded up, but they just loaded up. Unless you got a 6-man rotation all season long, like where is he going to start at? They
Every
just
time
loaded up
Dodgers
their
make a
squad.
move, every time Dodgers make a move, I'm like, how did that happen? What are they doing? I can see Dodgers too. I just see I can see Cease on every team. He's just that good.
So in the offseason, the Braves were in the hunt for Dylan Cease. So I could see them potentially trying to reopen talks, but I don't think they'll do it right now. I think they were I think they were hot and heavy trying to get Dylan Cease. The asking price was too high. So they backed up and said, "Whoa, wait a minute. You got a gun to our head. We saying no to that." And I think it was the same thing with Baltimore. I think Baltimore was like number 2 right behind the Braves of trying to get Dylan Cease, but the asking price was astronomical. So everybody just said, "Time out. We just gonna go into the season and just make it happen." I think Garrett Cole getting hurt puts the Yankees into the conversation right now as the number one option. The asking price still hasn't gone down. I don't think the asking price is going to change at all. I think Grifol and Chris Getz, the replacement for Rick Hahn, they're
Yeah,
still going to ask for the moon and the stars in any
I
trade
think
for
they'll
Dylan
get it.
Cease. I
No,
think
and
they'll
honestly,
I think they'll get it because it's the Yankees, and because it's the Yankees, is going to force one of these other teams, whether it's Baltimore or Atlanta or whomever. But I think it's going to be Baltimore. It's going to force one of these other two teams to try to up their offer, and all they need is just up that offer just a little bit, and it's going to be a wrap after that. Like that's really it. Because Baltimore has the number one farm system right now in the big leagues. Like they're number one. They already got a
are
good
they?
team.
I thought Pirates were number one. Maybe I'm tweaking.
No,
Yeah, I could
no.
have
I
sworn it's
mean, it
Pirates.
it could depend on which publication you look at as well. But I think Baltimore is one. The Pirates are like two, maybe three. And then like if you round out the top five, it's probably got like Atlanta, the Dodgers, always the Dodgers. Their farm system is always super elite for some crazy reason.
Yeah,
Whatever they're doing,
I
they're
don't
doing
get
it
it
well.
either. Them Dodgers and Rangers, they keep having great records and maintaining a great farm. I don't know what they're doing. We
Yeah,
got to get
like
that GM over here every year with the Dodgers.
I wish. I wish. But I mean so like I said, I think there's a top prospect for the Yankees that the White Sox reportedly want. And unless the Yankees are willing to make that offer, it's not going to happen. And I think
So you
that's why Baltimore is going to be the push to push the Yankees over the edge. They're going to have to do it.
so you don't think it'll be a Chris Sale surprise team situation where everyone thought it was going to be these big teams, and out of nowhere it becomes the Red Sox who trade everything for. I'm sorry, I said Chris Paul, Chris Sale. It's not going to be a Chris Sale repeat situation where everyone thinks it's this team or that team, and then bam, out of nowhere comes the Red Sox. Like, hey, here's the entire farm for Chris Sale.
I don't think so. Now I can't 100% rule it out either, but no, I don't think that's going to happen as of right now. Could change.
Gotcha. It'll be interesting. I don't want to. I'm not the biggest in baseball moves. I think baseball moves the strangest of all major sports. I don't understand how baseball works. And with the trades, you can trade a superstar for three prospects, whereas that would never fly in the NBA and NFL. Baseball is just weird like that, but I can see Cease being moved. even though I don't want it. But and then in baseball, so people trade like their top pitchers without a replacement in the farm system. It's just welcome to baseball. They just move weird like that.
No, I agree. Baseball's always been weird in that regard because it's always all or nothing every single year. Like every year at the trade deadline, it's either we have to go all in to make sure we win the World Series this year or burn it all down. It's
Yep,
always one or the other, and it never makes sense to me in any standpoint, no matter which team it is, whether it's the White Sox, whether it's the North Side team, whether it's the Yankees or the Dodgers or whomever. It's always all or nothing. Either we're winning the World
always.
Series this year and we have to throw all our chips into in the middle of the table, or we have to completely sell, burn it all down, get rid of every good player that we have, and wave the white flag. And I've never understood it either way. I feel like there should be a level of moderation to where you properly assess the current players you have, the current manager you have, make a few make a few minor trades here or there, or make one big trade potentially, but you still allow yourself the opportunity to go into next year with a team that can still either compete immediately or a team that is seeing itself on the rise. But baseball never does it that way.
I'm gonna email
What's
Gets.
Man, look,
He's what?
email him and ask him why he has so many former Kansas City Royal players on our team right now. Email him that question.
That too. I did notice that. I was gonna email and ask like, hey, how do we cheat like the Astros without getting caught?
Like we
That
got
might
like
fix a lot of things.
we got like 10 former Royals on the team throughout the whole organization right now. It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense to me.
The whole
So
Mike Moustakis thing in a Sox jersey still doesn't sit right with me. Like, where did he come from? Why do we have him? What is happening? He's not even a power
I
hitter
don't know.
anymore. We already have Jimenez is our forever DH. So I bring in another DH when Jimenez is a DH. Nothing makes sense right now with the spring training roster.
Nothing makes sense at all. That's why we're sitting here wondering what did the White Sox do now? I mean, even the manager's a former Royal.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is.
But
So
yeah, no, I wouldn't be shocked if Eloy, Cease, and maybe I'm praying Moncada gets moved, but I wouldn't be shocked if Eloy and Cease get moved. Um, we
I
already
think
lost our we already lost Bummer, and who's the other saves guy, the one with cancer. Um,
oh, you're talking about what's my Liam Hendricks. He's actually in Boston
yeah,
now. He got picked up by the Red Sox. Um
yeah, I really wish we would have kept him with the
so
cancer season. I get it.
I 100% was a fan of Liam Hendricks. 100%. Um
Like you don't let go closers. Like come on now, you need all the
I
closers you
mean,
can get.
at
There's not
least
that many
trade
good
him and get
closers.
something back, but they couldn't even trade him because
Something.
his contract was up. What so I like over unders. So what's the over under on when Cease gets traded? Would you say prior to the deadline day deal? I mean, where would you put it?
Over under on Cease.
Yeah.
If we're going with the
Would you
Yankees rhetoric, before the season starts, because they want him ASAP, but they have to do the MRI thing with Cole Garrett first. But if Garrett's like, hey, he's only going to be out a month, I wouldn't be shocked if they don't go after Cease and just wing it. But I
right?
still think if he gets traded, it's before the deadline. It'll be middle of the season because Mookie Betts was traded to Dodgers middle of the season, right? I believe, or was it before the season? I think I'm pretty sure it was middle of the season. I,
Um, I think Mookie got traded in the offseason.
gotcha.
That's a
Because
few years
I feel
back,
like
so I can't fully recall.
a lot of teams try to finesse it where like, all right, we trade in the middle of the season. Now we'll only have to pay half his salary into the budget. So I think that's what's going to happen. And just some teams going to be like, all right, we can afford half that salary, and then just go after him middle of the season.
So, I mean, we're talking about middle of the season. Trade deadline is, I want to say, the beginning of August. So, and there's no more waiver periods or anything like that. They got rid of that a few years ago. So you got your trade deadline, and after that is over. So you say potentially before the season, but if not, if Garrett Cole's not out for very long, you would say probably they're gonna just stand pat and wait, right?
Yeah, if they find out that he's coming back and he's out 4 weeks, I think they'll stand pat. But if it's everyone's got their guy, Yankees aren't really in a rush. I can see the surprise team being the Astros, simply because of the Rangers' emergence, winning a title there, and Astros kind of last year. That's why they got Abreu and others to kind of compete. Then they even got their old man back. What's his face, Verlander. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't be
they
shocked
did.
to see Astros coming for Dylan Cease a little bit hard. But I also don't think we should want their assets when Baltimore has way better assets. I just don't know if Baltimore is going to be desperate enough to go after Cease like a Yankees or an Astros would. I can definitely see Astros going like, "Hey, Dodgers are stacked. We got to find some way. We got to find some way to keep up," and that's where Cease comes in.
I mean, Astros would 100% be a deadline move. Like the Astros are not going to be that team that jumps out right away. They're going to be the team that waits like a week before the deadline or the day of
Facts,
to say, go get Dylan Cease. Like,
facts. They're
so
they're sitting there hoping other stars get injured. Like, we don't need to trade because Otani got injured. He's out for season again. I could see. I can see. Yeah, I don't think that'll happen. I was gonna say I can see Mike Trout being traded and
I can't
Dylan
see
Cease,
that.
but I
I
don't
can't
think
see that.
Angels would want to lose Mike Trout no matter what. Sox are okay with losing Cease.
I
I could
think
see Phillies going after Trout. Oh, that'd be. Oh, I could see Phillies going after Cease and Trout. That's a dark horse.
that would be nasty, by the way. But I don't I don't see Philly going after Cease only because I think they're already set with pitching. I think it would have to require an injury for them to pursue Dylan Cease because they would definitely have to because I don't think their system is rated very highly at the moment. So if they're going to go after Cease, they're going to have to definitely put in whomever their top prospects are to get him.
Facts.
So I don't see them right now. They would have to, like I said, there would have to be some sort of pitching injury for them to decide, yo, we got to go get Dylan Cease to make that move. Um, again, I think between the Yankees, the Orioles, and the Braves potentially putting their hat back in the ring to get Cease, those are the three teams that I'm going to personally be watching for at the start of the season. Because, like I said, the season starts in a little under 2 weeks from now. So
Facts. On the
potentially,
28th, right?
I think so. Potentially a trade could be kicked off before then, but I would more so look at a trade happening sometime around for Cease. Me personally, I see the White Sox going into the season with Cease. I see them keeping him pretty much up until June or July. I want to say like that first week of July is when I see them moving him. I don't think he's going to be a deadline day trade. I think he's going to
I
be
agree.
moved before deadline day. There's other guys who could be deadline deals that are up out of here. Like I think if the somebody blows the White Sox literal socks off with a trade for Luis Robert, we might be having to wave goodbye to him.
I
Um,
don't want to lose
but
Luis. I
that's
think we can build the entire team around Luis. I think that is insane
true.
to lose
But
Luis.
I think that's the only deadline day deal that we'll see if we see one.
Right,
Like
right.
in terms of a big move. There might be other smaller ancillary moves that we don't really care too much about. You can probably finally see Moncada get shipped up out of here, maybe on a deadline day deal. Um, but I don't think any White Sox fans are really expecting too much from him anyway. But
No.
but yeah, to me, I got under on Cease getting moved on deadline day. So like I said, I think it's probably the end of July or the 1st of August where the deadlines are going to fall this year. I see him being moved, definitely being moved before then.
Hmm. Yeah, I'd have to agree. But again, we're waiting on the Garrett Cole news to see if Cole's out for season. It's going to be within the next 4 weeks. If
Oh, if he's
it's
out for
just a month,
season, they're gonna move
They
heaven and
might.
earth. They definitely gonna give up
Yeah,
whatever their top prospect is. I think their prospect I want to say is I think the Yankees' number one prospect is named Spencer Jones or something like that.
something like that.
I might be forgetting the name or something like that, but he's the name that I think the White Sox are targeting to say, hey, any prospects, the first prospect you got to include is that kid. So if or when the Yankees put him in the deal, I think we're going to see action. And if
Yeah,
Garrett Cole is somehow out for the entirety of the season, we're going to see action real quick.
absolutely.
They're not going to wait too long. They're going to
No,
give
but
up
yeah, a
whatever
lot
they
of
need
the
to give up.
yeah, I think Baltimore is also going to be in that mindset of just like I think Baltimore and the Astros kind of work the same way. Let's see what our record is first month or two first before we look at any trades. For the number one team and our record's fine, we don't need to do anything. But if they start to be kind of closer to 500, then I can see now we've got a race for Cease. Whereas
Yeah,
Yankees are just the injury news is what they're waiting on. But the good teams, I think they want to see how they mesh first before they go after Cease. That's why I could see Cease, like you said, by July, give or take.
for sure. So yeah, man, that's those are the main things that I've been looking at, having my eye on coming into this season. Stadium and our players. Cease potentially getting traded. Luis Robert just being a dog. I mean, I honestly think he could still get even better. So I'm definitely hoping the White Sox keep him. And in terms of players in the minors, there's currently two players in the minors that I have my eyes on. The first one I already mentioned, that's Oscar Colas, and the second one is Kosa Montgomery. Um, he's a guy I want to say he's in AAA right now. He's a guy who could potentially be the shortstop when he's ready, to replace my guy TA. Good luck in Miami, TA. Don't catch no more beat downs while you're down there. Um, make sure you keep your head on the swivel next time.
I'm
And
worried about T.A. marriage in Miami. Forget
and
forget his
I was just
baseball
about to say
play.
next, like, yo, be careful down there in Miami, bro. You gotta, put your blinders on or
Base,
something down there, man. I'm gonna pray for you.
Baseball might be second priority in Miami. I'm hoping his marriage is safe down there. My goodness,
Hey, man, black men don't cheat, man. Leave my man TA alone,
facts,
man.
facts.
He locked in now. We focus. Look, man.
One all it takes is one wrong swing, Tim.
Hey, but yeah, I got my eye on from the White Sox and the minors.
Yeah, I got to see more of DeJong. I think we saw him. Did we see DeJong last year, or is this his first year?
I don't recall.
Well, not Tim last year, but Tim prior to last year was hard to replace because he was the best contact leadoff hitter in the league, in my opinion. And just one bad year, and bam, he's gone, which I thought was unfair, but it is what it is. But
Yeah.
that Tim, what was he averaging? A 350, won the highest batting average award like damn near 6 years in a row. That's just hard production to replace.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no easy replacing what he was bringing to the lineup, and that's part of why I asked before who's going to be the face of the team because Tim was the energizer. Tim was the fire starter for the team. Tim got everybody going. Not just with his energy. He wasn't a big vocal rah rah leader, follow me type,
Right.
but he did bring a spark that when he got hits early, the offense was productive. When he got on base early, you know what I'm saying? Whenever if the craziest thing, whenever Tim would lead off an inning and get on base to start that inning, is guaranteed the Sox are going to score a run.
Absolutely.
Like it's almost guaranteed. I could almost put 60% that if he gets on base to start an inning, they gonna score. And so, who does that for them now? I'm not sure. It's definitely not going to be Benintendi. It's definitely not going to be Moncada. Maybe it's Luis Robert.
No.
I haven't.
Robert and Vaughn are 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 guys. I think Robert. Well, also to be fair, Robert and Vaughn are the only. Well, not Robert, but Vaughn might be the only guy left on the Sox where English is his first language. That was the benefit Tim had. Tim and Vaughn were the only ones speaking English to each other.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a couple other guys you can sprinkle in there. But yeah, they're gonna miss that fire starter that Tim Anderson was for them. They're gonna miss that energy, that guy that's kind of flipped the switch in the lineup and got the ball rolling. I don't know who's gonna be that guy who's gonna get the ball rolling for them. But we'll find out. We'll find out as the season progresses forward. We'll see what's up with it. I'm definitely gonna be geared to the minors, which is what I was doing when the Sox had their last rebuild. I was definitely geared to the minors, seeing how guys were progressing, seeing how the Moncadas and the Roberts and the Giolitos and all of those guys were progressing, coming up through the minors before they made the team. So I'm gonna be doing some of those things as we progress throughout the course of this season, keeping an eye on the future Sox is what they call. So I'll definitely have my ears to the streets on that end.
With that being said, thanks everybody for listening to the show, and see you next week on What Did the White Sox Just Do, where you can hear us talk more shit about the White Sox. All right, thanks everybody.
Peace out.